to the Ed Show. Time for Psycho Talk tonight. A fresh and original scare tactic. Real fresh and original. From one of the best in the business, in fact. Georgia Congressman Paul Brown. Remember this guy? He told us that a public option was going to kill us. He called global warming a hoax. And he's told all his town hall folks that the president, the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and the Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid are planning to use a crisis like a pandemic or a natural disaster as an excuse to declare martial law. It's all part of socialism.
They only have one agenda, and that's socialism. I call it a steamroller socialism that's being driven by Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, and fueled by Barack Obama.
Yes, and he went on, they're trying to develop an environment where they can take over. Well, actually, there is a history of that. Why would a government ever use a crisis to try to consolidate power and put military on America's streets? Oh, yeah. You're right. There is a history, just not in Democratic administrations. Scaring your town hall seniors with threats of socialism and martial law? That's fear-mongering Psycho Talk, Congressman.
Support a Nazi policy, as Obama has expressly supported this policy. Why are you supporting it?
On what planet do you spend most of your time?
Welcome back to the Ed Show. Time for some Psycho Talk from the right again. Card-carrying member of the Party of No, Illinois Congressman John Shimkus. Now, the just say no line is real familiar to all the Republicans, but actually sometimes they try to pretend like they really do have their own ideas. Not so with our friend from Illinois.
You know, there's a chant going on in America right now, and as congressmen enter these town hall meetings, what is the public saying to them? They are saying, just say no. Just say no. Just say no. Now, Republicans, that's going to be our chant from now until Election Day, because we've been saying no for a long time.
He admits it. They've been saying no for a long time. Here's what you're saying no to, Congressman: a stimulus package that may actually be bringing us out of a recession, an energy bill that would help save the planet for our children and grandchildren, and a health care bill that would improve the lives of tens of millions of Americans. This is why the Republicans lost control last November, and it's why last week an NBC poll showed that Republicans in Congress have a 20% lower approval rating on health care than President Obama does. They have no ideas, and the public's figured it out. The only strategy is to oppose everything the Democratic Party wants to do, tries to do for the American people. And the American people are noticing this is what's happening. Well, we have noticed as well here on the Ed Show. Saying no for just the heck of saying no, it's obstructionist, it's lazy, it's hurting the country. In fact, it's Psycho Talk.
In June, Senator John Ensign of Nevada came clean about an affair with his campaign staffer, a woman named Cynthia Hampton. At that June announcement, Senator Ensign left out the fact that he put Ms. Hampton's son, teenage son, on the payroll of the National Republican Senatorial Committee during the affair. He also helped her husband, who also worked for Senator Ensign, find a job, and he convinced his own parents to give nearly $100,000 in gifts to his mistress's family. Well, now that the Fourth Estate, particularly the Las Vegas Sun, has helped Senator Ensign come more completely clean about this affair, the senator is ready, after 63 days of not being seen in public, to finally be seen in public. On Thursday, he will host the annual Tahoe Summit, which is a summit focused on protecting Lake Tahoe. Do you think he'll be taking questions from the media? Please, Senator Ensign. The marquee slate of Republican candidates for elections in 2010 and 2012 took sort of a big hit this year. Ensign himself was supposed to be a presidential contender. So was South Carolina Governor Mark Sanford, whose road to the White House apparently did not run through the Appalachian Trail. And former Alaska Governor and vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin. Well, yes, there's former Alaska Governor and vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin. But whenever the political gods close a door, they open a window. And look who's climbing in. Minnesota Republican Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann is famous for, among many other things, telling our colleague Chris Matthews that Obama and members of Congress should be investigated for harboring anti-American views. And in an interview with the right-wing website WorldNet Daily this week, Congresswoman Bachmann said that she might consider running for president. Quote, "If I felt that's what the Lord was calling me to do, I would do it." Even better news for Democrats? In an interview with an Israeli paper, the creator of the Obama was not born in the U.S. conspiracy theory, the original birther herself, Orly Tates, said that she too would consider running for office. Yes! She said, "You know, I never ran for office, but I would not exclude this as a possibility." It should be noted that while Orly Tates could run for political office, she cannot run for president, a fact she has acknowledged because unlike President Obama, Orly Tates really wasn't born in the United States. Although we could start a rumor that she was. Orly Tates, birthcertificategenerator.com.
Time for the sideshow. First up, U.S. Congressman Trent Franks of Arizona has upgraded the birther BS. This weekend, Mr. Franks informed a public town meeting that he had been considering bringing a lawsuit in the matter. It's not quite clear whom he intended to sue, the president, I guess. Here's the problem with this. If Barack Obama was not born in the U.S., which a contemporary newspaper announcement of his birth and the standard documentation made available by the state of Hawaii attest, then there's nothing to this birther craze. If, on the other hand, his parents and grandparents and everyone else at the time, as well as the state bureaucracy of Hawaii, deceitfully confected that birth announcement and the documentation itself, then Barack Obama is not only not the legitimate president, he's in this country illegally because there's no evidence he was ever naturalized. Therefore, Congressman Franks, the correct legal action for you to have taken, if you were serious about this, wasn't a lawsuit, it was an arrest warrant and swift deportation. That's if you're serious and not just one of those pandering to the worst impulses of the most angry, frightened people out there. Late today, the U.S. Congressman's press secretary put out the word that the congressman, Mr. Franks, quote, was considering filing a suit. But here's one from Republican Congressman Wally Herger of California. At his town hall meeting, some guy yelled out bragging that he was, quote, a proud right-wing terrorist, to which the congressman responded, "Amen, God bless you. Now there's a great American, a guy who thinks it's okay in this day and age to call himself a right-wing terrorist." This is the dangerous edge on which these people, including some elected officials, are now dancing. We've been here before. Words lead to actions. Words create the national mood. The mood creates a license. People take that license and use it. I'm not spelling it out any further because I don't want
people will be mobilized by the extremism of the people who are calling Obama Hitler and calling him a Nazi and bringing their AR-15s to the town halls. Maybe the Obamaites who came out in such numbers in the election will be turned out specifically because they're so horrified by the atmosphere that's happening whenever Obama does one of these town hall meetings and people show up with guns.
Well, you'd think it would have happened by now because this has been going on for weeks and weeks at this point, the guns and the town hall meetings. You know, I think people figure it's just a tiny fringe and it's inflated by the media, and that's not entirely untrue. There are people out there who are scary and nutty. I don't know how much a part of the larger population they represent. Certainly a good chunk of it. But, you know, again, it's not the Republicans. I mean, of course, it is the Republicans who are holding this up. But that's the given. You know, the real death panel is that Senate Finance Committee. It's these Democratic senators, the Kent Conrads and the Max Baucuses from these tiny little states that represent 1 or 2% of the population. That's holding up the works. You know, I guess the days of arm twisting are over within your own party. I don't know. Maybe I'm just remembering finally my image of Lyndon Johnson and people like that doing that. You know, you wake up and there's an intern's head in your bed or something. I don't know. They used to be able to corral the members of their own party to get behind the business of that party. I don't think that's something that's gone away. I mean, Bush did it only a few years ago when he was president. He seemed to get his puppies in a line. Why can't Obama do that?
Well, you are seeing a little bit of an uprising right now of some angry liberals, particularly in the House, saying, you know what, we're not going to vote yes for this thing unless it doesn't have a public option. We're liberals, we're mad, and you can't count on our votes. We haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, but that's not really going to be there at the end of the day. At least I hope not. I mean, I hope they don't split along those lines because, as Paul Begala wrote so effectively the other day, boy, he's a smart guy. He was writing in the Washington Post about the fact that, you know, when FDR was passing Social Security, It did not include domestic workers. It didn't include farm workers. It didn't include the disabled, government workers who are now the first people to get an entitlement. Lots of categories that were excluded. And if people back then had said, well, come on, this is not a very good bill, nothing would have gotten passed. What happened was they got something through, and then over the years they improved it. And unfortunately, it looks like that's the best we can do with this health care thing.
It's the best we can do with 60 seats in the Senate, an 80-vote majority in the House, and a brand new popular president. My expectations are shrinking all the time. Yeah. Bill Maher, host of HBO's Real Time with Bill Maher. It's great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us tonight, Bill.
Thanks, Rachel. Appreciate it.